Hi, my name's Kymble and I work at Bude Library. I'm sat in my back garden right now on top of the old trampoline, which makes a really good spot for watching wildlife, particularly at dusk when the hedgehogs come out. They're so busy looking for food that they don't look up and they don't notice me sitting here. So my garden is really very overgrown. Now that's partly because I love wildlife and wildlife love a bit of overgrown. Partly it's because I never have time to come out and do the gardening. Well, it's mostly because of that actually. So one of the good things about lockdown is that I've got to spend much more time in my garden recently. I've been exploring it and finding and discovering lots of creatures that live here that I didn't know lived here before. And sometimes I find things and I don't know their name, what they're called. So I've got quite a few books at home that I can look in to give me an idea. So these are what we'd call non-fiction books, so fact books, not story books. And I've got quite a few of these. These are kind of like spotter guides to wildlife. You can look in them and find out the name of what you found in your garden, or maybe if you go out for a walk. This one is probably my favourite. Hang on, oh, it's really heavy. It's really big, it's quite thick, and it's got some lovely illustrations in. They're lovely drawings, so you can find what you're looking for even if you don't know what the name is. So yeah, I don't know the name of everything that's in my garden and all the things that I find, but I do know that I love being outside and I love enjoying finding new things and exploring. Do you like exploring? Right, I'm going to show you around my garden now and some of the things that live in it. Now, I'm not quite sure how well you can see this, but if you listen, you can definitely hear it singing. Right in the corner of my garden, I've got my hedgehog house. Now I know there's nothing in it at the moment because I put a twig in front of the entrance like this. And if anything goes in or out, that twig gets moved, so I know not to disturb it. At the moment it's empty. I did have a hedgehog hibernate in it all winter. And these are all the sticks and leaves and twigs that it brought into the hedgehog house to keep it warm. It was tucked up snug all winter. At the moment I've got a garden snail enjoying it. On the other side of my garden I've got the hedgehog feeding station. This white dish is full of water. It needs a bit of a clean actually. It's been quite windy the last few days, so it's got quite a bit of debris in it. This is one thing you do for wildlife right now. Put out a bowl of water in your garden. It's been so dry recently. Lots and lots of animals will be really thirsty and will be really grateful to you for leaving out a dish of water. Make it a shallow dish because you don't want them falling in and getting stuck. And just over here I've got my hedgehog feeding station where I put the hedgehog food every evening, and they come out and it's all dark and gobble it up. So it's basically an upside down cat basket that I've put here, and there's a little gap that hedgehogs can get into, but cats and dogs and other things can't. So here are my chickens that live in my back garden. They are loving the sunny weather at the moment. They like nothing more than sitting in the sunshine, having a dust bath. There you go. You see, this one has had so many dust baths, they've actually made a hole in the ground. Oh, hey chicken. Oh, they love trying to eat my phone. Hey! So this is my slow worm hotel. It's basically my compost bin, and quite often if I lift the lid I can find something inside. I love going in here because it's really warm. No, I can't see anything in there today. Pop the lid back. Now here's my nettle patch. I did say my garden was quite wild. Lots of creatures love nettles, lots of insects and butterflies, and snakes and slow worms love the long grass. And right here is what I call my slow worm spa. Let's see if I can see anything. Yeah, look, there they are. Warming themselves up in my garden. Can you see? I think there's two there. Oh yeah, there is two there. There, I'm going to pop them back before they get scared. So I've learnt a lot about slow worms recently. I think they're fascinating. One of the ways I've learnt about them is through magazine. Magazines are really great ways of getting information and getting new up-to-date information. So I'm a member of the Wildlife Trust and I get sent this, and it had lots of information about snakes and slow worms in it in their last edition. So I found out quite a lot more about them, and they're really amazing creatures. So slow worms, even though they look like snakes, aren't snakes. They're in fact legless lizards. And I often wonder whether they never had legs in the first place, or whether they were sort of careless one day and lost them. I don't know. I'd love to know that. And they're very clever. Did you know that if somebody's trying to catch them, and it's usually a cat to be fair, they have quite a few ways of getting out of it. They can play dead, so they lie very still, and whatever's trying to catch it loses interest and goes away. If that doesn't work, they do a poo which stinks. It's so smelly that whatever's trying to catch it runs off because they don't like the smell. And the last thing that they do, which is really amazing, is they shed their tail. So they actually can lose the last part of their body, and it lies in the ground and it wriggles and it squirms, and the thing that's catching it is so interested in the tail, which is still moving, that the slow worm gets to wriggle away back to safety, and it grows another one. How clever is that? It's never quite as long as the original one, but yeah, it grows its own tail back. They're very clever creatures. Now I love slow worms and snakes, and I love hunting for them in my garden, but if I do find one, I do just look. I don't touch. I don't want to scare them away, and they don't know that I'm not going to hurt them. So I think it's probably very wise, if you do find a creature like that, just to look and not pick them up. This is my garden pond. It's really full of plants and weeds which the wildlife love. If you look really, really, really closely, you might be able to spot something. Can you see? Who's that hiding under the lily leaf? And another one there. There you go. There's another one having a little cool down in the pond, I think. These are the other creatures that I've got living in my pond at the moment. Lots and lots and lots of them. Can you guess what they turn into? They don't look anything like the creature that they grow up to be. Although this one, can you see this one? It is starting to grow its back legs. There. Does it look a little bit like a frog to you yet? Can you see all of this one's got its back legs too? In a few weeks they'll start growing their front legs too. Oh yeah, and I found this creature. I don't know, can you see it very well? I'm not sure what it is actually. There. Oh, where's it gone? There. Oh my goodness. I don't know what that is, but I'm guessing it might like eating tadpoles for its tea. So I think I'm going to pop it back in the pond quite quickly. There. It's a tadpole that is really beginning to look like a frog now. I think when they get to this type of stage, you call them froglets. And you see it's got its back legs and its front legs, but it still has its tail. I'm going to pop him into the pond. I've just dipped this bucket into the pond to see what I can find, and I have caught a newt. I'm trying to pick it up with my fingers. Oh, have any of you ever gone pond dipping? See what you can find living in the water. Here we go. This is a newt that lives in my pond. I've got lots and lots of them in my pond at the moment. I'm enjoying eating all the little creatures that are in there. And I'm going to pop him back before he gets too upset. If you do go pond dipping, it's really important that you go with the grown-up and that you remember to put back what you found in the place that you found it. So this is a bug hotel that I made at the beginning of lockdown, which feels just like forever ago now. My neighbour had put this out for the rubbish collection, and I've reused it instead and filled it with twigs and sticks and pine cones and just bits and pieces I found in the garden to make a nice little habitat for bugs and insects and spiders. So this is where all the bees are in my garden at the moment. I'm not sure what sort of plant it is, but the bees absolutely love the flowers on it. I don't know if you can hear the buzzing over the wind right now, but it's absolutely full of bees. I've been trying to take some photographs of bees, and it's really difficult because they do not stay still. I'll show you some of the photographs I've taken though, and I wonder, can you count how many bees there are in the pictures? Did you count them all? There were 8 bees in those photographs. I'm not going to even try and count how many bees are on this plant at the moment. There are far too many, and they don't stay still. So I hope you enjoyed looking around my garden. I'm going to read you the story now. Right, so today's story is called Muggles Wychwood, and it's written by Vicky Cowie and it's illustrated by Charlie Mackesy. And apologies if I've pronounced your names wrong. Oh, and I'm joined by Izzy, who's going to be listening to the story. And Izzy, how old are you? I'm 4. You're 4. You're off to big school soon. Here we go. A tired little girl climbed into her bed. "Will you tell me a story?" she wearily said. So her granny replied, "Of course I could. I'll tell you the story of Muggleswick Wood. There once was a girl with blonde hair just like yours. Her mother would ask her for help with chores. When her work was all done and her chores complete, she'd grab her red coat and, with boots on her feet, she'd shout up the stairs just as loud as she could, 'I'm going for a walk down to Muggleswick Wood.'" So off she set. She skipped and she laughed down the garden and onto the path. It was here she discovered that so close to home was living a rather smart bearded gnome. The little girl bent right down on her knees to inspect his red hat and his green dungarees. "It's lovely to meet you, but why are you here?" The gnome shuffled forwards, wiggling one ear. "Do you not know of my great gnomely powers? I'm here to fight greenfly and protect the flowers." "Wow," gasped the girl, "that sounds very clever. How brave you must be to guard them. However, would you like to come with me to Muggleswick Wood?" The gnome thought for a moment, then he said that he would. So off the pair went. They walked side by side, the gnome taking 2 steps to one of her strides. They hadn't gone far. A few fields had passed by when a sudden blue flash caught the little girl's eye. She and the gnome stopped and gazed at the sky. They spotted a beautiful blue dragonfly. It buzzed and it hummed and it span round her head.
They're supposed to come out in the night time.
Oh, Yeah, I think dragonflies don't. I think they come out in the day. So it buzzed and it hummed and it span round her head. "It's a pleasure to meet you," the little girl said. The gnome asked the insect, "Why are you so busy? All this twirling around is making me dizzy." The dragonfly hummed, "I am eating the fleas, some flies and mosquitoes and lots of midges." "Gosh," cried the gnome, "that's terribly helpful. Those small biting beasties are totally dreadful. If you fancy, we're off down to Muggleswick Wood. Please feel free to join us. It's sure to be good." The dragonfly hovered and buzzed his response, "I've got some free time. I will come with you at once." So off the three went, moving all in a line, as a cool breeze was blowing in the autumn sunshine. They waved at some sheep and passed high stacks of straw. Then they came to a palace with a huge wooden door. On each side of the door, ugly gargoyles were snarling. "That's not what I said. Please understand, darling." The girl looked embarrassed. The gnome shouted up, "Excuse me, I'm sorry. Can I interrupt? We're off for a walk down to Muggles Wychwood. Perhaps you can join us. Fresh air might be good." They glared at each other. She started to talk. His stony face softened and they went on the walk. So off they all sauntered and chatted away as they made the most of a beautiful day.
Oh, fun. Fun's over there.
Yeah. They crossed an old bridge and jumped a peat bog when they heard the deep belly croak of a frog. He was having a snack on a juicy pink worm. It stuck to his tongue and went down with a squirm. "Forgive me," he chirped to the group with a gribbet. "I can't resist worms, I will freely admit it. Where are you off to on such a fine day? Would you mind if I joined your group on the way?" "We are off on a trip. If you feel like a hop, Muggleswick Wood will be the next stop." So off went the frog with the gargoyle pair, the dragonfly gnome and the girl with blonde hair. At last there before them the huge oak tree stood, as the sun cast its bright beams through the boughs of the wood. They skipped and they buzzed and they hopped through the trees till they came to a mushroom ring made by fairies. They couldn't believe their eyes at first glance. In the ring they were having a fairy sun dance. The frog started hopping, the girl started dancing, the gnome stamped his feet and the gargoyles were prancing. The dragonfly looped the loop with great ease, and confetti was thrown and waltzed in the breeze. They danced till their legs, wings and feet all felt tired, then flopped on smooth stools and with wonder admired the brightest red tables with glowing white cloths. They were soon joined by fairies and a small group of moths. Some smart mice appeared with afternoon teas, the sweetest and juiciest huge blackberries. A few more moths joined, a bell started to chime. The sun cast its pink glow. What on earth is the time? The little girl saw the light fade in the sky. It was time for her friends and her to say goodbye. So they ran, flew and hopped just as fast as they could and retraced their steps back from Muggleswick Wood. They went over the bog and the bridge, through the straw. They passed the stone palace and huge wooden door, said goodnight to the sheep, blew a kiss to the gnome, ran right back up to the path, and at last she was home. That night in her bed, she thought as she lay about all of the wonders she saw in that day, the new friends that she'd made, magic secrets she'd keep, and she smiled as she wearily drifted to sleep. So good night, little one. Someday you will see it's not just a story. That small girl was me. There, that's the end. Did you? It was a very long story. Did you enjoy it, Izzy?
Yeah.
Yes? Which bit did you like best?
The bit I liked all of the bits.
You liked all of the bits, so did I. It was a lovely story. Well, I hope you enjoyed that story. We've done a few other story times on our Bude Library and Information Facebook page, so you can find them there. Yeah, and in the meantime, go outside and enjoy. Bye.